Well, good morning, everyone. I am Vaughn Williams III. I am the president of Home at Last Community Development Corporation, and I want to thank you guys for being here today. Home at Last CDC is a community-based organization providing supportive housing to numerous arenas of individuals that are in the homeless space. Youth, adults, individuals coming out of the penal system, you name it. What I like about this organization and what links me to it so much is the fact that Home at Last is more than just an organization. It literally is what the name says, Home at Last, meaning I'm on the streets, I have nowhere to go, and now I come into an organization that provides me with supportive housing, provides me with 3 meals a day, provides me with case management services, allows me an opportunity to get back into the realm of real life. Re-entry is what I like to use as my favorite word for Home at Last because it affords you the opportunity to get your life back. The young people say, get your life, get your life. For me, that is significant with Home at Last because they are really allowing individuals to basically come back into the world and reform themselves and get right, get housing, get health care, get employment, you name it. Home at Last is doing so. So as a result, it's a pleasure for me to serve on their board as president. It is a pleasure to have been a part of the organization for 6+ years now. When I started with Home at Last, it was just randomly talking to Michael Young and saying, hey, what are you doing? And from that, he shared the mission, which was to economically empower individuals who really didn't understand what it was like to make it in this world. That drew my attention, and I've been with them ever since. And so I just hope that today will be another launching of something great, another launching of an opportunity for individuals for restoration and hope. Think of those words in 2021. 2020 was an awesome year in terms of services, a horrible year in terms of what people went through. And so as we begin to look at the way we restore lives, let's think about what Home at Last is doing. And with that, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to serve as your moderator. And I'm going to introduce to you the great mayor of the city of Los Angeles, Mr. Eric Garcetti.
Well, thank you so much, and a very good morning, everybody. Thank you so much, Vaughn, for your incredible presence, energy, hard work, and heart. And I think that goes for everybody on this call. This is such difficult work, and yet it is the most important work we can do, I believe, in our lifetimes. Since I was 14 years old volunteering on Skid Row, this has been more than an issue area for me. This has been a life mission, and one in which we know we receive the baton and pass the baton, but it is our responsibility to not only up the game always, but to touch people's lives and transform real people that aren't numbers, they're narratives, they're not statistics. Each one of them has a story. And thank you, Vaughn, for you and your team's exemplary work. And I'm so thrilled to be here with other dreamers and doers, with Kevin DeLeon, the council member in this district, who, as a state leader, made homelessness a priority and continues to. Mark Ridley Thomas, our co-chair of the State Task Force on Homelessness, who rushed into the chairmanship of the Homelessness and Poverty Committee, which speaks volumes, and the author of Measure H. Holly Mitchell, who, if you want to know service provision, if you want to know wisdom, go talk to Holly Mitchell. And this dream team that I'm proud to be a part of, I don't know if I'm the point guard, the shooting guard, the center. I think Holly's maybe the center. I think that Mark is maybe the power forward. I think Kevin is definitely the shooting guard. Maybe I'll be the point guard, but we have an amazing team that I'm so proud to be a part of. And this is a big deal. Our 24th Bridge Home Shelter. No city in the country is building at this pace. No city in the country has shown this commitment. And it's the fourth one in Council District 14. And if we're the epicenter in many ways of too many things right now of this pandemic, but we've been one of the epicenters of homelessness. This is the epicenter of the epicenter that we are addressing. And taking this from dream to reality, a lot of people say, go do it. Anybody who's worked on one of these projects knows just how long it can take or just how many hurdles you have to overcome. But in record time, Libby Boyce and the entire team at Housing for Health, Michael Young and Home at Last, our Balgian and BMI Developments, who have done great work for us constructing, and Justin Day and the team at Brilliant Corners, and Maurice Kaboud, Heidi Marston, and everybody at LASA, who knows building it is just the first step. Then we hand it over to folks who are the service providers to figure out how to run them best. but to all the city staff who supported this. And it really does take an entire city family, from the CAO's office, the GSD real estate team, the city attorney's office, our colleagues at Building and Safety, at the fire department, at DWP, at LA SAN, at the United Homelessness Response Center, UHRC, and my team, Deputy Mayor Che Ramirez and Kirkpatrick Tyler, who is the first dedicated person to Skid Row from mayor's office in the history of our city. Thank you all. And I also want to give a special shout out. It's a very, if you'll indulge me for a second, moving day, because April Brody, who really is the builder behind all the bridge homes, this is her last week in this role. She has worked for decades in this issue, and she's taking her brilliance up to the next level across this country and on projects that will involve poverty and of course homelessness, but so much more. She has been such an angel in the City of Angels, and let's just pause and give her a virtual round of applause, because she has been as brilliant a person as I've ever worked with. And I love you, April. We'll be talking more at your goodbye later today, but this is the perfect send-off for you to show on your last week what you are producing. Give that to us. We'll take it from here. This is a moment unlike too many others, and I think too many of our neighbors we know are still sick and suffering. Right now, the only constant has been the consuming crisis of COVID-19, but the monumental health crisis of homelessness predates and will postdate this pandemic. And so whether it's building thousands of new beds for people, 2,000 units and over 40 supportive housing projects, 3 years, which has produced more than the previous 30 years when it comes to permanent supportive housing, or whether it's that transitional housing that this is such a key part of. I'm finally optimistic that this year is a year we will see progress, even in the midst of a pandemic, even in the midst of these projections that say homelessness could double around the country as a result of this pandemic. Los Angeles is probably the best poised city to make sure that statistic doesn't come true here. A place where it's beginning to rain and it will begin to pour new units from HHH, the H dollars that are out there alongside and services, the lawsuit that's helping parties come together in a historic agreement between the city and county for 6,700 additional units, to state assistance with Project Home Key and Room Key, which we need to continue to push, and the launch yesterday of a permanent source of funding for homelessness in the state with AB 71, which I'm proud to co-chair that campaign, and Mark Ridley Thomas, I know, is one of the other leaders in that statewide as well. But for this powerful story means 120 more Angelenos will have a place to lay their head, 120 more people. And that means 1,901 beds of bridge home shelters across Los Angeles, 289 now just in Council District 14 alone, that are new and weren't there just a year or two ago. And we're on track to 28 bridge home projects with a total of 2,156 beds. Now, I'll be blunt. Our challenge now is to turn those beds over more quickly, to find and to work together with our great service providers to get that throughput, to put people into permanent housing. But make no mistake, stabilizing, and I've talked to so many residents of bridge home shelters, this is manna from heaven. It is the first moment they can feel human again, where they can feel like a human being and talk to people and be clean and keep their stuff and get to work, because many people are working who are unhoused in our city. And with every bridge home shelter, this is an investment in hope, in help, and in health. So thank you for making this dream a reality. We've got amazing speakers, so I want to toss it back to you, but thank you for helping us bring people home at last. Back to you.
Thank you, Mayor Garcetti. And we thank you for your leadership and your extraordinary ability to move things along. With that in mind, we just want to show the real before we move any further, if that's at all possible.
Welcome everyone to the Lotus.
Home at Last Community Development Corporation is a not-for-profit organization committed to providing temporary and permanent housing to individuals and families experiencing homelessness. Over the span of 18 years, Home at Last CDC has operated over 10 homeless shelters, serving over 5,000 homeless individuals within Los Angeles County and surrounding cities. With over 70 team members, Home at Last CDC's mission is to increase the safety and emotional stability of individuals and families who are experiencing homelessness by providing temporary and permanent housing opportunities. Home at Last CDC is on the leading edge of direct care providers, promoting life sustainability through social services, job readiness, education, and advocacy. In 2017, landlords within the Los Angeles downtown fashion district contacted Home at Last CDC with desire and interest to serve homeless individuals within their community by providing accessibility to convert their 20,000 square footage clothing warehouse into a shelter. Home at Last CDC partnered with the City and County of Los Angeles, turning the warehouse into a 120-bed single adult abridged home, bringing unsheltered Angelenos back inside a place that they can call home. The Lotus is symbolic of rebirth and the resilience that is ever present within Home at Last CDC and individuals served. The Lotus makes a statement to the world that says, the work that is done may not be glamorous, but it affords an opportunity for every individual to emerge better than they were the day before. The street names you see throughout the facility are Home at Last CDC core values that lie at the heart of the work that is being done. Each street that is scribed throughout the Lotus is designed to inspire and encourage individuals to create a new path for their lives. Home at Last CDC is dedicated to providing first-class services to help individuals and families experiencing homelessness find their home. Home at Last Community Development Corporation's vision is a world where everyone has a home.
Home at Last, as the video exemplified, is doing great things, and those things could not be done with great leaders from the City and County of Los Angeles. With that, Supervisor Holly Mitchell is a native Angeleno who proudly represents Los Angeles County's 2nd District. Throughout her career in public service, Supervisor Mitchell has always worked with the understanding that creating a California where all residents can thrive means investing in the communities, small businesses, and families of Los Angeles County. And let me just say, I had the pleasure of meeting Supervisor Mitchell when the Honorable Gwen Moore was alive. And meeting you really touched me and inspired me to do greater work. So I just want to thank you and welcome you to the county supervisorial role and welcome you aboard and turn it over to you.
What an amazing introduction, and thank you for invoking our dear Assemblywoman's name. I deeply appreciate that on a personal level, so thank you so much, Vaughn. And I want to tip my hat to you and the leadership at Home at Last Community Development Corporation, because it's true partnerships like this with agencies like yours taking the lead that we, as myself as a native Angeleno, as all of us as Angelenos, are going to see a day when every Angeleno has the dignity of having a home of their own. So I appreciate you. I'm honored to join with our Mayor Garcetti, my fellow city council members, my former leader of the Senate, now Councilman De Leon, former Supervisor Mark Ridley Thomas, whose vision and sheer determination helped us get to this moment in time. So I appreciate you all. I appreciate sharing the Zoom screen with all of you this morning. You know that getting to this moment where we're able to celebrate the opening of the Lotus Bridge home, and I love the name, clearly wasn't easy. You know, this is a result of years of sheer grit and hard work and determination. So again, I want to thank you all. Councilman De Leon, when he was pro tem, gave me the opportunity to travel to Utah a number of years ago to see the example in Utah, how they were able to reduce their chronic homeless population by 90% over 10 years. And I had my personal aha moment and fundamentally understood, based on what I witnessed, the sheer power and the importance of multiple levels of government coming together, braiding resources, combining our sheer political willpower and strength to build facilities like the Lotus. And so I'm thrilled that we were able to braid and support city and county partnership in making today happen. The Lotus will provide job readiness programs, counseling to help residents maintain their self-sufficiency, and most importantly, dignified care and respect that honors the humanity of our family, friends, and neighbors who find themselves unhoused. So I'm proud that we can include the Lotus as an additional housing resource in the 2nd supervisorial district, which indeed faces some of the toughest and highest rates of homelessness. The 2020 homeless count highlighted what we all know to be true, that LA County is 500,000 affordable housing units shy. So as we uplift this achievement today, I know you'll join me in also keeping our eyes on the ultimate goal, which is long-term housing in LA County where every resident can raise their children with dignity. You know, in my introduction, you heard that I'm a native Angelino, and I rock my South Los nameplate with pride every day. And that's a commitment, a small little sign of my commitment to doing all that I can to support and uplift Los Angeles County. That's the work I've always been committed to do, and will continue to partner with each and every one of you to make sure that we create opportunities for every unhoused resident of LA County. Congratulations. I can't wait to come and tour and see the amazing work that you've done today. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share with you today.
Thank you, Supervisor Mitchell. We appreciate you. We value you. And you know, nobody said the road would be easy, but together we will get through this.
Yes, we will.
Thank you.
Yes, we will.
And now I want to bring to the platform Council Member Kevin De Leon. Kevin De Leon is the Los Angeles Council member for the 14th District, the son of a single immigrant mother with a third-grade education who rose from San Diego's Logan Heights barrio to become the first Latino to lead the state Senate in over a century. Whew, that's powerful. Before politics, Councilmember De Leon served as the public and community organizer. He taught ESL and US citizenship courses and advocated for public schools. As a leader of the Senate, he reallocated $2 billion for permanent supportive housing for homelessness individuals with mental issues experiencing homelessness under his ballot initiative, No Place Like Home. No Place Like Home. Thank you so much, Kevin De Leon. We value that. And with that, I would just like to turn the platform over to you. Thank you.
To all the incredible staff at Home at Last, I want to give a very heartfelt thank you for your dedication, for your commitment, for seeing this project through the Lotus. Because of you, we're going to help improve the human condition for so many deserving families who are living on our streets today. To our great mayor, Eric Garcetti, I want to thank you very much for your incredible leadership, for your dedication, for your stewardship, especially during these very difficult, tumultuous times. To my very good friend, former state senator, my colleague on the red carpet, no other than the newest county supervisor of Los Angeles for District 2, Holly Mitchell. I'm so looking forward to working with you hand in glove in concert to move the policies that will help improve the human impact for so many deserving individuals, men, women, and increasingly mothers who are living on our streets today. A very special thank you and recognition to my good friend, Mark Riley Thomas, Councilmember Mark Riley Thomas, MRT, because it was you during your tenureship as a county board supervisor that we are here today celebrating and cutting that virtual ceremony ribbon to open up those doors for the Lotus to so many deserving souls living on our streets today. Again, to all of you, I want to say on behalf of the residents of Council District number 14, thank you. You inspire us with hope through your hard work, through your dedication, because you've given hope to many people whose lives will be transformed because of the Lotus. You know, one of the things that we actually take for granted is the importance of having a strong start. A strong start and a firm foundation that sets in motion the likelihood for success, because it increases the possibility of attaining your goals, of achieving positive outcomes. Now, you can take almost anything and put it to the test when it has a strong foundation, whether it is a high-rise building, whether it's a world championship team like our own LA Dodgers or the LA Lakers. It's the same for human beings, for persons, for our own loved ones and family members. When you have a strong foundation, when you have a strong start, the world is yours. But oftentimes, as we know, life can be very cruel and unfair. And many of us, especially those people of color, Black and brown community members who don't have that strong foundation for a whole variety of reasons, who don't have that strong start from the get-go, because we weren't born on third base. We were born on first base, or sometimes we weren't even born in the dugout. We don't have that strong foundation. And that can lead to, many, many challenges. And sometimes it can lead to homelessness. And that's why today's virtual ribbon cutting ceremony is a huge victory for all of us. That's why, Vaughn, and I want to thank you for all of the hard work that you've done, because the Lotus will be a starting point for so many people, hundreds, even thousands of people. It will be the bridge that they need to get back on their feet and perhaps get to the start that they never received from day one. And that's why this week also I propose a way home, a plan to develop 25,000 housing units for our unhoused community members by the year 2025. That is 25 by 25. It is time that we move forward, an overall comprehensive plan, so we can provide a modicum of dignity and respect for our unhoused community members. Again, regardless of who you are and where you come from, regardless of the color of your skin, who you love, and yes, your legal status. As Angelenos, as Californians, as Americans, we deserve a pathway forward, and we deserve a way home. So again, to you, Vaughn, Mr. Mayor, my good friend, State Senator Holly Mitchell, now County Board of Supervisor of Los Angeles, MRT, new council member, looking forward to working with each and every one of you in concert so we can take this idea of the Lotus, providing a new start for everyone, regardless of our past, because our past doesn't define who we are today or tomorrow, and find that pathway to a new home for the future. From the bottom of my heart, thank you very much to each and every one of you.
Councilmember De Leon, it's support like yours and advocacy like yours that affords us the opportunity to keep doing what we're doing. It's people like you who motivate us to go a little bit higher and strive a little bit better and a little bit more to make an increased community improvements. So we appreciate you and we value you. At this time, I'm going to introduce a man who I followed for a number of years. He doesn't know it, but I remember when he was at the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. I think it was on Western and 40-something. I was a teenager at Washington High School. It was you who inspired me to become a public administrator. And that's what I ended up doing at Cal State Dominguez as a result of you. You never know who you're inspiring just by your leadership. So before I even make your introduction, I say thank you. For nearly 3 decades, Councilmember Mark Ridley Thomas has distinguished himself as an effective leader and advocate for structural change for residents of Los Angeles. In November of last year, he was elected to serve as council member for the 10th District of the City of Los Angeles. He currently serves as chair for the Council Homelessness and Poverty Committee. In 1991, Ridley Thomas was elected to serve on the City of Los Angeles' council for more than a decade, subsequently serving 2 terms in the California State Assembly. In 2008, he was elected to the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors as supervisor for the 2nd District for a total of 3 terms, after being re-elected in 2012 and 2016. At the Board of Supervisors, Mark Ridley Thomas notably authored and led county's unprecedented efforts to end homelessness through Measure 8. Councilmember Ridley Thomas has and will continue to do all that he can to combat this moral crisis and is committed to paving the way for all Angelenos to have the right to housing. Councilmember Mark Ridley Thomas.
Well, thank you very much. Delighted to be here this morning. Vaughn Williams, you said it all. If you're from Washington, I guess I have to invoke I'm from Manual. We just keep it like that. It would be generals and toilers in the house today.
Yes, sir.
And so we appreciate being here. We want to ask the supervisor where she went to high school. We're going to leave that all alone to keep the video presentation in order. This is what we do. And so I'm delighted to be here this morning to salute Home at Last. Might I say it this way, Home at Last is laser-like focused on those who are often described as the least of these, they who know what it means to come up the rough side of the mountain, and yet they made it home. And for that, we embrace this organization, its work, its leadership, its vision, and the quality of life that it will bestow on those who have the benefit of experiencing Home at Last. How about a shout out to LA County Department of Health Services, especially the one and only Libby Boyce, Leslie Jordan, and the rest of the Housing for Health team for their persistence and for their determination in making this project happen. We salute you, and kudos to the mayor's office for their work. Acknowledgement to the council office for the leadership that has been brought to bear. Nothing happens of any consequence absent leadership. And so we thank you. And finally, a warm embrace of our new supervisor, Holly J. Mitchell, for that which she has done, that which she's doing right now, and that which she will do well into the future on this very subject. This project could not be opening at a more urgent moment in time. We're in a crisis within a crisis, and we ought to name it. We ought to recognize that and deal with it accordingly. As has already been indicated, this city distinguishes itself every single night. In my way of saying it, it has at least 40,000 reasons for doubling down, leaning in, and going hard on the question of the homeless crisis that besets us. The tremendous work by our hardworking nonprofits and public agencies, as well as coupled with Project Room Key and Project Home Key. These have all ensured that COVID-19, those positivity rates among people experiencing homelessness are at least managed with some degree of success, and it has for a good period of time remain lower than the general population. We recently take note of a spike, which means we have to lean in. Can't ignore that. The Thanksgiving holiday season, as well as the Christmas holiday season, has had a huge impact on how we deal with this public health crisis. But this is a crisis compounding a crisis, and we need to recognize that. The recent LA County public health data shows that the number of weekly COVID-19 cases among people experiencing homelessness jumped significantly from 49 cases during the first week of November to as many as 271 cases in the first week of December. Do the math. It's challenging. Our hands are full. It shows up in that way, but we cannot let up. We cannot waver. We cannot relinquish our obligation to treat this crisis as a state of emergency. Let me invoke that again. This is a state of emergency, any way you wish to say it. In this moment, we are needed in a desperate way to embrace projects like the Lotus. Why? Because it represents the commitment to the common cause and the collective action to put in place a legislative and budgetary framework that I want to describe as a right to housing. This is an illustration of what we have to do, and that obligation goes to the public sector. It is not imposed on individuals. It is the obligation of government, by definition, to work in the interest of the well-being of its citizenry. And so the city, the county, the state, may I say the nation, joined with community collaboratives, need to build, need to acquire, and to rehab more housing. As an official who's worked on both sides of this partnership, I intend to do more to increase as best as I can the collaboration between the city and the county. Add the state to that. I'm pleased that the supervisor and I have already begun those conversations. We have the wherewithal. We have no excuses. We have the capacity to counter and counterpunch. And it seems to me that that's what we need to do. And so, Vaughn, keep doing what you're doing. Keep working the program. You're needed. Home at Last is indispensably important. It's a model worthy of emulation. And it seems to me that if we do more of this, we can embrace our overarching goal. which must be to afford dignity and self-worth to all who call Los Angeles home. I thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Mark Ridley Thomas. We certainly
you.
value you. You said a lot there and you spoke the truth. And truly it has been the rough side of the mountain, but we see
Come on,
ourselves
Doc.
coming up. You know, trials have come our way and there have been a lot of circumstances that tried to stop us from reaching our goal. But through support such as yours, Supervisor Mitchell's, Councilmember De Leon's and others, we've made it. And with that, we're going to strive for change and we're going to strive to make sure that everyone has a hand up and not a handout. So with that, we would like to introduce Elizabeth Libby Boyce. Libby Boyce oversees street management engagements, interim housing, and enriched residential care for the Department of Health Services, Housing for Health Division. Michael Young brought Libby to this site 3 years ago, and Libby has been working on pushing it forward since that time, understanding the high need of the Skid Row area. The county covered the capital cost to build out this project and the funds for the operational cost of it. Without further ado, a dynamic woman, a woman with passion, Libby Boyce.
Hello, everybody. As the introduction said, I am Libby Boyce. I work at the LA County Department of Health Services, Housing for Health. The county has been very committed to this project since the beginning. It is an incredibly exciting day. The Lotus is a project that Home at Last brought me 3 years ago. And Michael Young and I went to this big warehouse with boxes all over the place. They were filled with clothes and there was a clothes business there at the site. And both of us really agreed that the space was so open and airy and there was so much light coming in that we just envisioned what it could be. And we both really feel that these warehouses near the Skid Row area can be used to this end. And this was going to be the first project. And it was an immediate yes from Housing for Health because how special the space was, because of the closeness to Skid Row and making it such a huge access to people experiencing homelessness in this community. It's been a very long and winding road to get here today. There have been many obstacles along the way. But people really hung in there. And there was a lot of community meetings and things that are tough, conversations that are tough, but everybody stayed with us. And for that, we're so grateful and so thankful. And I'd just like to celebrate some of the people that are most in my mind today. Michael Young, the Home at Last team have been incredible. In addition to the Lotus, they pulled together a quarantine and isolation site for us on a dime recently. They know where it's at. They are there for us. They are wonderful partners, and we couldn't be more honored to be working beside them. The city, the mayor's office, CD14, the CAO, your real estate division, who have been so patient in this process because, again, there's been lots of obstacles, but we've all hung in together. The Housing for Health Capital Project team, and in particular, Leslie Jordan and Deborah Lever, who literally shepherded this process, this project across the finish line. NAC, the architectural firm, who saved us so many times over and did such a beautiful job at the design of this project. The Housing for Health leadership team for always getting to yes when we brought them something that we needed to get to yes on. And Councilman Ridley Thomas, formerly Supervisor Ridley Thomas, who is so graciously supports Housing for Health, this project, and people experiencing homelessness. We're so grateful. LASA, our partner in outreach and getting people into this site, who just work with us so closely on our coordinated outreach throughout LA County. And lastly, this community who at the end of the day have embraced this project. Let this site be a beacon of what is possible if we collaborate and we roll our sleeves up and we support one another and we stay committed to the people we are serving at the end of the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Libby. Thank you so much. It's just good for us to dwell together in unity. And you have been steadfast and unmovable in your desire to make a change and to see this project through. And so I just want to take another minute to give you another round of applause, because it was your endurance and it was your steadfastness that allowed this to happen. So thank you. With that, I want to.
You're trying to start something. You're trying to start something.
You know,
Steadfast and unmovable. You know, I hear it, don't you?
I know.
Exactly where you're at. All right.
I'm just an old Baptist boy trying to make a difference.
I hear it, Doc. Lean into it.
Sometimes
Put your weight down on it, Doc.
Yes, sir. Who-wee? Heidi Marston. Please welcome Heidi Marston. She's the Executive Director of the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, affectionately known as LAHSA. She's a part of the outreach team that will work with Home at Last's Community Development Corporation to fill those 120 beds of unsheltered individuals on Skid Row. Heidi, welcome to the platform.
Thank you, Vaughn. Thanks so much, and congratulations as well on such an accomplishment. I just want to take a minute to extend my thanks to the leadership that's represented here and those who couldn't make it. Mayor Garcetti, Council Members De Leon, Ridley Thomas, Supervisor Mitchell, Home at Last, and of course our partners at DHS. Your leadership in all of this is the reason why we're here today. So thank you for your steadfast commitment to this. As we've seen from the success of A Bridge Home, Project Room Key, Project Home Key, all of these other collaborative projects that are born out of the homelessness crisis, that have been born out of the COVID-19 pandemic, we see that we can make really great strides in helping the thousands of Angelinos who are experiencing homelessness across all of LA. And we can do that when we coordinate with clarity and urgency across all jurisdictions. And you see the manifestation of that here today when we all come together, the power of that and what we can accomplish. This project is going to help us continue the momentum that we've already built to help all of our unhoused neighbors on Skid Row not only have a place to lay their head, but ultimately come to a place where they are permanently housed. So I look forward to continuing our work with all of you to creating more temporary and permanent options for our unhoused neighbors. And thanks so much for having me here today. And again, congratulations, Vaughn, to you and the Home at Last team and DHS. We're just so happy to be partners in this work with you.
Thank you, Heidi. Well, we've come to the end of our segment. We've come to the end of our grand opening virtually. And let me just close by saying that unless someone like you is willing to help someone that's out on the streets, change cannot be made. Unless leaders like you continue to strive to build a community of health and wealth and wholeness, we are not going to make it in this town. Each of you represents and signifies someone that will afford someone on the outer court to move to the inner court. And with that, we celebrate you, we thank you, and as we open this Lotus project, we remember you, we look forward to giving you the tour of the facility, but most of all, we look forward to working with you in the days ahead to move the needle ahead for individuals to become successful, self-sufficient, and worthy of their names and lives in Los Angeles County. Blessings to each of you, one and all.